Welcome to another episode of Home Sweet Home. My name is Rod McCall.
My name is Bryce Runge.
You sound like you're talking to a robot. Or maybe you're trying to be a robot?
Be a robot?
I don't know.
I was trying to go with my name. My name is... It's an old cowboy movie. Or Zorro or something. Jeez.
Oh.
Did you hear that they're not making 12-inch rulers any longer?
Really? Why? People can't judge a foot?
You didn't get it? They're not making them any longer?
Oh, ha, 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 ha. Oh,
wow.
Man.
You're slow today, buddy.
I am. I tell you, are you trying to insult me?
I guess that was kind of an insult. I'm sorry. You're slow every day. Does that make it better?
Oh, geez.
Sounds like you're going somewhere with that one, buddy. I did not mean to insult you. I am sorry for saying that you were slow today and every day.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I accept it.
Thank you.
I was thinking, okay.
Did it hurt?
No, because I have a little, I have a little thicker skin than I used to. No, I was thinking about, here we are in the political season, and I keep seeing things that pop up on my Facebook page or some of my other social media things that keep talking about, we can't tell jokes anymore because people are easily insulted.
Yes.
And it got me thinking about, okay, we can't joke about anything. And I keep thinking, we were talking about, there's a group of us at school, and we were chit-chatting about the movies that could not be made today.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, Blazing Saddles. Okay. Airplane 1, Airplane 2.
Those are so good.
They are funny. Loaded Gun, or Naked Gun 1.
Gun.
Yeah.
Naked Gun 2.5.
Yeah.
2.9 or
whatever it was.
Yeah.
I mean, some of those movies, even take movies like 16 Candles. You take some of those movies from the early to mid 80s that are considered classics today.
Yeah.
But why we can't make them today? And it feels like you have to be extra careful, as so many folks feel that maybe they're being attacked, that they're being, deliberately set out to be made fun of. And I kind of look, they even have a term for it, being aggressive. And there are even ways, certain words in our lexicon of language that can sometimes come across as an aggression that maybe we don't realize.
Mm-hmm.
They call them microaggressions.
Microaggressions.
And so I've been learning a little bit about this in some of my coursework. And I ran across this article. It popped up on my news feed. And it kind of spoke to me a little bit. But the guy that wrote this article, his name is Neil Burton. He's an MD. He's a psychiatrist, philosopher. He's an author. He's a teacher. Lives in Oxford, England. So he's got to be pretty smart to have all of that. But he was talking about how to deal when somebody insults you, puts you down. And I thought, well, this might be kind of interesting, something. And so as I read through it, I go, well, this is, we ought to put this on our topics of our podcast. And so I thought we could look at some of the ways that maybe, when we get, help us put things in perspective rather than where our emotions on our sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very guilty of this. I have done this. I've copped an attitude. And I feel like way back in the early mid 80s, there was that Duracell commercial with a big, tough cowboy, and he put the Duracell battery on his shoulder and he says, I dare you to knock it off.
I don't remember seeing that. Sorry.
Oh, well, anyway, so there was this commercial, and I feel, young pup over there.
You're old.
You're too young.
Yes, that was an insult. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I'm going to come over there and smack you around.
Listen, these are the timeless advice from Bryce Grunge. When someone insults you, you take a step towards them and you turn their face into mush.
Bring it on. I got a good lawyer.
See, that's the problem. We can't handle it like we did back in the day. When someone talked trash, you straight up, you went at it.
Yeah, but was that the best way to deal with it?
I mean, at the time.
Okay, but getting into fights.
You didn't get arrested for getting into fights then.
Okay, fair enough. Well.
And then you never got insulted again.
Okay.
Now, I would never do that now. This was a long time ago.
Last week. Well,
anyways, I'm sorry. We went down a different we got on a different exit right there.
Well, bringing us back to the main highway here. One of the things
we had to go get some some snacks.
Yeah, let's stay clear of that one. Anyway, one of the things that this Dr. Burton talked about was, again, we get insulted, whether intentionally, unintentionally, and rather than flying off on a tangent where we're going to let our knuckles do our talking for us, he's asking us, well, think a little bit. Take a deep breath, pause for a moment, and let's let's do a few different things.
Yeah.
But now, if it's worthy of going after, well, he's not really saying don't do it. It's let's evaluate this before we decide just how much of a response it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing he says is let's check the insult. Okay.
Check the in. Okay.
All right. So, and he says, look at three things. All right. One is what they said. Is there any truth to what they said?
Got it.
Then look at who it came from and why did they say it? I mean, sometimes, okay, consider the source. Yeah. I remember being told by folk, my parents, my grandparents.
Your granddaddy?
My granddaddy. My granddaddy said, consider the source and blow it off.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which is kind of what they're saying here. I mean, who's making this claim? Who's saying it? Is there? Should we even listen to them?
Yeah.
Why are they saying it? Are they trying to get under your skin? I mean, you played big time college sports. You, I'm sure, ran into people since you were a long snapper. Well, you had the defense on the other side, making, I'm sure, all kinds of disparaging comments about you, your skill, your mother, just to get under your skin.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you respond to those insults, well, what's the negative impact?
Right.
So if you consider the source and you consider why they're doing it, that might help you decide what kind of response. And is there any truth to that?
Yeah.
I mean, when they used to call me Too Tall McCall, I was. I mean, crying out loud, I was 6'2" and weighed 60 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a tall, skinny string bean.
Beanpole.
Absolutely. I mean, they tie ribbons and use me as a maypole. Okay, that's not true. But it's, so you listen to what they're saying. Is there merit? Are they truly insulting you? Are they, I mean, if they disparage your, okay, you disparage a person's race, a person's religion, a person's gender. Again, why are they doing it?
Right.
You know they're not there for constructive criticism, but who's doing it and why?
Yeah.
And if there's really no merit to what they're saying, that there's little to no truth, well, then blow it off.
Right.
Show them the hand, talk to the hand because the ears ain't listening.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And I think that could we solve some problems before they begin by looking at, answering those 3 questions as you, quote, check the insult.
Right. Yeah. Most people, and then you've got, especially teens who are all that whole frontal cortex is still developing, aren't going to process all that.
No.
That's why we have, ISS or, juvenile detention facilities. Most people don't process that. They're offended or they're upset. They get pissed off right away based on what was just said. They're not going to process. They retaliate.
Sure. But can you teach this?
100% you can.
Can you learn this?
You can, but it takes time. You have to be willing to embrace, these 3 things. Because really at the end of the day, it's a bully, it's or a hater. Right? And they don't like what you're doing. They, you're doing good things or whatever. And so they're going to talk trash. They're going to hate on you or they're going to bully you. I remember when I was in the 6th grade, there was a kid, you're talking about this. I'm like, the first thing that popped in my head, he said something really derogatory about my mom. And I freaking smoked him, dude. I did not think of any of these at all.
You knee-jerk reaction.
The fist was flying before anything else. And afterwards, like, oh my gosh, we didn't get in trouble.
Okay.
And so, it's obviously that kind of repeated itself, into, my late 20s, that kind of an attitude. You said this about me? Oh, okay, let's go. But you have to learn that because there are consequences. You don't see that. It's hard to see that after, or, before I do this, here are some consequences. That's not what people are thinking.
Okay, but how about this? Your knee-jerk reaction, was that a learned behavior? Do you think that maybe your brothers, being the youngest of 4 boys, if that's how they felt, well, this is what a man does. If you heard that, you saw that, did you repeat that?
It's possible, yeah.
I mean, because I'll tell you, with 3 sisters, I didn't learn that.
Yeah. It's possible, but it's also, it's something that I had to learn. And it took a while because of being conditioned that way. Like, oh no, you're not going to say that about me. But it's taken a while to get to this, or even to where I'm at right now. Someone will say, or I heard it through someone. It's okay. And hey, ask me if I care.
Sure.
Right.
Sure, no.
But how do you get people to that level? You just keep doing what you're doing, because along the journey, there are going to be people that hate on what you're doing. There are going to be naysayers. There are going to be energy vampires. There's going to be all those things. So people are going to insult you, especially when you're on the pursuit to success.
And I think that's kind of where I think a lot of folks are that way.
Yeah.
And I think that, can we raise our kids? Can we teach our children that, again, you can't control what other people do, but you can control how you respond. Can we save ourselves a lot of problems if we can at the outset of an insult, ask ourselves these 3 questions. 1, is it true? Who did it come from? And why did they say it?
Right.
I mean, even if you forget the first one, but if you can go consider the source and blow it off as pure ignorance. Yeah. That was something that my dad would tell me all the time. If they're being a jackwagon, well, then, you know what? Blow it off. I know it's hard.
Right.
But they're trying to get a response from you. And I cannot tell you the number of times I would get my tail end in trouble. My sisters would do something, I would retaliate, and it was the retaliation that was witnessed, not the original item that sparked.
The second person to get caught.
Yeah, pretty much. And I mean, I think if you were to ask police officers, I will tell you that as a classroom teacher, I'm usually the one catching the response, not the initiation.
Right.
So if you can avoid that, then can you avoid yourself landing in hot water?
Right.
I don't know. Again, it requires upper level brain capacity. And again, it's something I think you can teach. I think it is something that you can learn, but it requires a concerted effort. But if it can, imagine how society might be a little bit better if more people can, at the onset, ask those questions.
Oh, yeah.
Again, consider the source.
Yeah.
And the motivation.
Oh, yeah. We would, 100%, Rod. But I think, there are a lot of people that enjoy attacking other people.
Oh, they do. And, if you're in politics, it's all about attacking.
Yeah. Here's something that I've said, and I'm going to say it again right now. Instead of attacking people, we need to, especially when faced with conflict or there's problems. People are always quick to point the finger at the person, attack the person, instead of what can we do to attack the problem? What can we do to attack this conflict? Because there is a way that we can come to a resolution, but I think it's easier to get on social media or send emails, or be derogatory and be throwing insults around left and right. Yes. If you can get to a place, if any of those three, if you can get to just one and say, consider the source, I think that's going to help you immensely, because when you say, consider the source, just repeat it in your head. If you're insulted, consider the source. And then you figure out, oh, well, it's he or she. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Because that person.
Sure.
So it's like, oh, whatever. I've had to do that in my own life.
Or know the why. Going through divorce, lots of instigation. I think if you're a sports player, I think a lot of sports, there's a lot of trash talk.
Oh my gosh.
Whether football, basketball, volleyball, I don't know about volleyball, but definitely, soccer, where it's just you and the other player, where there's no referees around. I have been told, having never played really sports, but there is a lot of trash talk. So again, consider the source and the why. All right, because if you can do that, now that's one suggestion.
Okay.
Another suggestion: check your anger. And kind of like you were saying, before you, the person insulted your mom.
Yeah.
And boom, you saw red.
Oh yeah.
And it is, I think that's a common knee-jerk response. And in fact, anger is considered the weakest possible response.
Yeah.
And so they're kind of proving their insult correct by you automatically going to anger.
Right.
And I mean, okay, it reveals several things. When you resort to anger, okay, and I'm right there with you. I mean, anger.
Rage monster.
Yes. And I had to, during the divorce, there was a lot of anger. And so I had to be very careful. But they were talking about, the three things that anger reveals about you is that how we take the insult. And therefore how we take the person doing the insulting. And we kind of take them seriously when we respond angrily.
Okay.
it suggests that there might be something to the substance of what they're insulting us about.
Oh, see, I'm right. He is that way because he acted or responded that way.
You're a mama's boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you are a mama's boy because you got pissed.
Right.
And what does that say about you? Impulse control.
Right.
All right. And then the third thing it says is that it can destabilize you. When your anger is the emotion that's dictating your response, you're not thinking. And I mean, I have been there. Oh, I cannot tell you the number of times I see red.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way to, I think we've talked about this before, breathe deep. Take 30 seconds, take 60 seconds before you respond, take a couple of deep breaths. And while you're doing that, that would be maybe a good time to consider the source and the why.
Right.
Because if we cannot let anger take control, can we avoid the consequences of that person?
Yeah.
Because that's, again, I swear, most of the time they're looking for a response out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they pick on you. That's why they're bullying you.
Right. Yeah.
Because that brings us to something else.
What is it?
Impulse.
Uh-huh.
Because when you, in sixth grade, punch that kid for saying something about your mama, okay, that was your impulse. That was a knee-jerk reaction of, pow, right in the kisser.
Yeah. It sure was.
And did you think about it?
You mean after?
No.
Before.
Oh,
no. He said that and green light.
Because the anger takes over and your fist has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
And then the next fist, and then the next fist. And
it was it was only 2 hits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, me hitting him, hitting the floor.
So I think
I did go home and tell my mom that happened, and she was mad, and she appreciated the fact that I stood up for her, but she did, in her way, explain, kind of what you're saying, like, he doesn't know who I am, like, that is not true about me, so you need to learn to, one, no, that's not true, and two, like, walk away. Right. And she's like, I'm not sure how you didn't get in trouble. Because it was different times then. I think they encouraged fighting in the playground.
Really?
I don't know.
Not at our Catholic school.
Oh, you Catholics are different.
Well.
I'm sorry, that was an insult.
Yeah, but I considered the source, passed it off as pure ignorance, and moved on. Controlling my anger.
And your impulse.
My impulse to walk over there and smack you upside the head. So, like I say, we have a lot of responses, and what's, now that we're laughing about this, that's actually the next thing. It says, laugh about it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And I can remember my dad saying something to this effect. Laugh about it. Yeah, you're right. Because now you're taking the energy away from them.
Yeah.
When you respond with anger, when you respond with that fist, that impulse, that knee-jerk reaction, you're empowering that person.
Right.
But if you laugh at them, you're poking a pin in the balloon and deflating them.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's right. Yeah, my mama, she can't cook worth a lick. How did you know? You've been to our house for dinner before and I miss it? I mean, whatever it might be, but if you can find, again, this is not easy.
No.
In fact, in reading up on a number of, very famous comedians, this is something that they said that they learned as a defense mechanism, is to make people laugh. I remember Robin Williams, saying that was a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember some of the others, but this is a common theme I've heard. If you can make them laugh, they won't be insulting you.
Right.
If you can make them laugh, they won't be hating on you. If you can make them laugh, they won't be bullying you. And so it's very, so when I saw that, I go, well, yeah, that kind of fits to what I've heard from other places.
Mm-hmm.
So make fun of it, laugh at it,
Yeah.
take the power away from them. Which then goes back to the last thing that you had said, but I remember my parents saying this all the time. Ignore it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I do that very
well. Yeah. It's hard to sometimes block out that noise, to ignore that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are, for example, I'll share with you when I was pursuing football, I got insulted quite a bit by mature adults, and it really got under my skin. And I would tell Brad about this, and he would say, like, dude, screw them, or whatever. But then there was a couple times where I remember there was one moment where someone had said some things, and Brad and I actually confronted the person, which was probably not the best thing to do. Nothing happened. It was, there was some backpedaling. There's two dudes versus the one. It's like,
Yeah.
When I look at it, it's like, okay, that was stupid. But I would say most of it was, dude, try and block out the noise, dude. Look at where you're going,
Mm-hmm.
where they're staying, where they're actually, they're not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so they're hating on you, dude. Okay, at the end, I heard a lot of comments because I was older.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking on the wall over here, and it's like, well, all those people were hating on me, and I get to say that, man, I earned a full athletic scholarship when I was 27. I'm sorry, what was that you guys were saying?
Yeah.
But it's hard to block out. And when you mature and you practice these things, it's not easy. Mm-hmm. Because you're working so hard at achieving X, Y, or Z, and then you have naysayers going to come in. You just have to know right now when you're making moves and you're progressing towards this awesome goal or this dream, people are going to be in your path that are going to hate on you.
Mm-hmm.
Period. The end. They're going to say negative, hurtful things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, here it's what I'll say is keep operating in your vision. Don't allow the negative things to come in and cloud that vision that you have for what you want to be doing. Because it's going to come. People are going, and there's things that people are going to say, just, like the whole incident with my mom. I think I remember sort of what he said, but anyways, it's like, you have to be you have to be an intentional person to apply these things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't know, kind of go off there.
Well, I remember my parents saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
And I get what they're saying. I'm not sure that I totally believe that, because I think words can hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to, again, people are insulting us because haters are going to hate. So it's, and I see this amongst adults. I see this at school a lot. I mean, these are hard skills to find a way to address, to remember in the moment. Because I think that when somebody is attacking us, when somebody verbally, not so much physically, but the verbal responses, the verbal needling, it does hurt.
Yeah.
And you want to respond and you want them to stop.
Yeah.
Again, I think a lot of this is bullying strategies. I see this a ton in my work with divorce families. And I mean, I remember going through my divorce itself and the number of things that were done. I felt deliberately to see to try and get a rise out of it, get a response, because then that way that reaction can be used against me. So, well, I just thought I was doing this.
Right.
And so I get it, but I do understand that, yes, when I can put the anger, you get angry, that's okay. It's what you do with it.
Right.
And when you let that anger control you, when you let that anger direct you, and you allow that impulse reaction. I wish I was clever. I'm not.
Yeah.
I have the best response to your insult 2 hours later. Okay. Yeah. I cannot tell you the number of times I have gone, dang it, why didn't I remember that? Man, if I'd only said this, man, I would have just thrown that insult right back at him times 10.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I can't do that. I'm not one of these people that can think on their feet. I do resort to that anger. I do many times feel that impulse. And so I have to find other ways.
Right.
And so therefore, again, remembering, consider the source. What are they trying to do? Finding, trying to breathe deep to not allow that anger, which would drive the impulse. And when and where possible, try and make it a funny thing.
Right.
Make a joke out of it.
Yeah. What I've learned is that these people that are making these insults are, it's been said, hurting people hurt people. And that's the reality of this.
Sure.
Why people hate, say negative, derogatory, insult others is because they're hurting. Yeah. I've had to recognize this, and it's taken a long time that, man, not only does everyone have a story, man, everyone's going to fight some demons. And I always have to tell myself, when someone says something or looks at me weird or says something negative, I have to know that that person's going through something.
Sure.
They've got their own demons and they're battling with, and they're just projecting that on, I happen to be, it's like the dump truck.
Yeah.
I happen to be in their path, and now I'm getting the trash dumped on me. Sure. And that's okay, for a lot of times, because I've learned to recognize that people are fighting.
Oh yeah.
And then they don't know how to deal with it. And this is the way it comes out. And then so you've just got to learn to know that people are fighting every day. People are battling their own demons daily. And the other thing too is that rise above. Okay. People go low, you go high. I know that we've talked about this.
Yeah.
That road up there that you travel on, that high road, it's sometimes lonely. But be the one to travel that road. They go low, you go high. Rise above that insult, that negativity, and you keep pursuing. Right? Just know that people are struggling every day. They're fighting their own battles, and you just might happen to be in that next lane and someone dumps their trash on you. Smile, laugh, the things that you've been teaching on, empowering us today with, those are all great things that just add to it with knowing that people are fighting. They're more so these days. You mentioned, was it this one or the last podcast we talked about, a rise in suicide?
Well, when we did the one on stress.
Yeah, there is. There is. We are now seeing, unfortunately, a rise in where we didn't during COVID. We saw a lot of hospital visits through attempts. We didn't have a lot of people that were, statistics said that it didn't grow. Hospital visits grew, but not suicides. But now we're back on this unfortunate trending up. Sure. Of suicides, and that tells you people are fighting freaking demons every day.
Yeah, and you're right. If I can make myself feel better by making your life feel like shit, then okay, I suddenly feel better. But that's not the healthy way. Right. And while it's not our job to help everybody that's having a crummy time in their life at that moment, we can go, you know what? Thank you. I'm going to change lanes. I'm going to drive off. I'm going to head a different direction.
Right.
I'm not going to let you have that power and control over me.
Right. And again, something that you have control over.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to go this way, or I'm not going to respond this way. But again, these things, it takes practice, especially if you were conditioned from a young age to respond, in this manner. It's going to take practice, and there's no positive consequences after laying someone out. Mm-hmm. Right, because they've said something that hurt your feelings or whatever. There aren't any positives for that, and it doesn't help that other person. It's just going to add the fuel to them continuing to insult and pour negativity on other people when you could be the one to maybe change the trajectory of that person's life. I don't know.
No,
and how you interact, that interchange goes because of something I said to you. You may pour kindness onto me. Like, wow, actually someone cared about me for once. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just never know. But you know right now that people are struggling.
Absolutely. And that's why when I was going through this, I go, you know what? This is kind of an interesting thing to go back and revisit. Because again, I remember being told some of this growing up.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for letting me go on a rant.
Oh, of course. Always.
So
I'm here for you.
Well, thank you. I'm here to make your day just a little bit better.
Thank you.
Oversized ogre.
That's what'd you say? Hey, that's what our podcast is for.
Absolutely.
Our listeners' day be a little bit brighter. Anyways.
And you're not an oversized ogre. You're one of my very closest friends. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Rod.
I'm Bryce.
See ya.
I'm the oversized ogre.
Bye, Shrek.
Sure.